Hello and welcome to the TwoFiveOh, the podcast where most of what follows is true. I'm Jonathan, and with me as always is my co-host Douglas. How are you, Douglas?
I'm very calm. You always read the intro in such a calming manner, and I come out the gate, I'm like,
oh my god! Yeah, we were doing the Anchorman speech exercise before this, and that's a very different pace.
Yeah, totally. You were just like, you were so goofy with the Anchorman thing, and then you start, and you're like, hello, and welcome to the two.
You always say it like, I sound so like, I've got more energy than that. Come on, man.
You do. I'm exaggerating. Carry on.
So if this is your first time tuning into the TwoFiveOh, I'm very sorry. We've taken a snapshot of IMDb's top 250 movies of all time as of January 2020, and we've begun watching them from number 250 all the way through to number 1. In this podcast, we discuss our opinions, our thoughts, and our reactions to the movies within. Today's movie, number 242, is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Butch and Sundance are two outlaws in the Old West. Butch is the brains and Sundance is the finesse. And with the help of the hole-in-the-wall gang, they rob banks and trains to their heart's content. After a messy heist goes wrong, the two are forced to flee with their girl Etta to South America.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was directed by George Roy Hill, and the screenplay was written by William Goldman. And I actually don't know who this Burt Bacharach guy is, but he did he composed the music? ?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
He composed the soundtrack. And the raindrops keep falling on my head.
Oh, wait. Was that an original piece for this film?
Correct.
Oh, shit. I had no idea.
Really? Did you just
I
think
legitimately had no idea.
Did you think that they just whacked it in?
I thought I've heard it referenced in... I've heard it referenced in other stuff.
Yes. It was, written specifically for the film.
Okay. Interesting. Well, okay, that's fun. I like that track. Cool. I'd heard it referenced in other stuff, and I just thought it was just like a track that people sang or something. Shit, alright. Okay, Burt Bacharach.
John's already learning.
Burt Bacharach. Hell yeah.
Yeah, good man.
My boy George Roy actually doesn't have that much other stuff, like directing credits under his belt.
Yeah.
A bunch of TV, but not actually that much.
I believe, is there one other film that's directed by George Roy that makes its way into the top 250? There is. It's The Sting.
The Sting, okay. That is his,
The Sting is way,
one.
way down the track, but in terms of when we're going to watch it, it's... I'll take a peek and see where it's at on the list, but I know it's like in the hundreds, I reckon.
Okay. So, yeah. Not a fair while off.
107, there you go. So we're about 100-ish, 120-ish episodes away from bumping into George Roy Hill again.
All right, yeah. So it stars Paul Newman. He was already a bit of an established actor at this point, I gather.
Yeah.
And Robert Redford, who was not.
Yes.
I gather this is what kind of kicked his career off.
Most certainly did. Robert Redford was a bit of an unknown name at the time, and George Roy Hill kind of took a gamble on him, so to speak. They originally had Steve McQueen set to co-star alongside Paul Newman, and that was supposed to be the two big heavy hitters, starring alongside one another in a Western. But Steve McQueen dropped out. I think due to scheduling conflicts. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
But yeah, the role got offered to all these people, basically every leading man in Hollywood. There was Jack Lemmon, Warren Beatty, Marlon Brando. All of these people got offered Sundance Kid. But in the end, it came down to Robert Redford. And I can 110% say I am very glad it did.
They mesh so well. I will talk about that a bit later. But they're such a... It's a fucking buddy cop film with no police in it.
There is police, but they're not the police.
Yes. There's the comedy, which I guess we'll start with that. I did not expect it to be a comedy film. I actually had no idea what to expect with it.
Really?
Yeah, which was a very pleasant surprise.
Totally. Were you expecting it to be like a gritty Western?
I just thought it'd be like a quote-unquote normal Western. So
Gotcha, right.
Yeah. So that I had an inkling. The opening, most of what follows is true. I was like, I think I know what's going
You
on
smell
here.
a rat.
Yeah. And yeah, it's obviously comedic first, the whole film, and there's that whole buddy cop dynamic where they play off each other comedically, and that's obviously a big part of the comedy, but they also squabble constantly and like have fights with each other and stuff, and it's all about that relationship is what, it's the cornerstone of the film, and everything kind of runs off of that.
I like how they kind of make jabs at one another. Just, as you're saying, like it's all very comedic and witty and very well written by William Goldman. All of the little jabs and stuff that each of the characters have at each other is, really solid.
It's so nice. I really, really like it. So yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
Absolutely, yeah.
I just I have a bunch of quotes, but I don't just want to read them out.
Because then it spoils them. Yeah. There's a nice little bit of physical comedy at times too. For me. There were some nice little splashes of physical comedy, which I liked. It didn't rely on it too heavily, but it just there were those nice little doses to kind of match up with the wordplay and everything, which I thought was nice.
A lot of stuff with I guess physical comedy, as in stuff like people's expressions, word and stuff like that. I've got a really good example for it, and it's early in the film, but I think we'll leave it till after the spoilers.
Yeah, definitely.
The film also very much surprised me with how fucking pretty it is.
Yeah,
there's some amazing shots in it, and it's set in real Wild West locations, I guess.
South America.
So there's just all these amazing vistas and like huge plains and huge mountains and stuff, which is like, I think it does a better job at that kind of just like the natural beauty of the American landscape. It does a better job than Paris, Texas did. And
sure.
Paris, Texas was a very visually forward film. So that super surprised me, and there's a lot of really clever stuff with like framing, just kind of not blow you out of the water type stuff, but just kind of fun, interesting things like following along with people that are moving through like gaps in fences or like through trees and stuff, in just something that's a bit out of the ordinary.
Yeah, it's keeping things that are relevant to the shot within the shot, but presenting it and framing it in a way that's interesting.
Yeah.
So presenting information in a visually intriguing way is, and that's credit to cinematographer Conrad L. Hall, who passed away only in 2003, so very recently, but you would know his work, Jonathan, for American Beauty.
I haven't watched American Beauty.
Have you not seen American Beauty?
No, stop.
Oh, man.
2003 was a long time ago, by the way.
Well, yeah, but it's still...
I was 8.
God.
You were younger. That was a long time ago.
What else did he do? Road to Perdition, Tequila Sunrise. No, none of these.
No.
Triggering anything.
Have you watched these films?
I've seen Road to Perdition and American Beauty.
Okay. No,
I have not seen Tequila Sunrise. But you'll be happy because American Beauty is in the 250. So
I'd assumed as much. I knew enough about it to know that was floating around in there.
Comes in at 75 in the 250.
Fucking hell.
Again, it's another one that's going to be a little ways down the track, but I'm almost happy that we're getting all of these interconnecting cinematography kind of geniuses and stuff that have worked on other pieces within the top 250, because then we'll have these other films and stuff to reference back to and go, oh, okay, so they did this here, but then they also did this here. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, you get that whole thing with like actual real people who know stuff about movies, and they can go like, oh, this is that director or that cinematographer.
Who
when
did
they
the
look
thing,
at one film and they're like, oh, that person did this, and they can like judge it preemptively on that. And,
Based on that, yeah.
And I guess you can do that to some degree. I cannot do that at all.
Yeah.
I'm very, very looking forward to actually having some like degree of skill with that.
I'll tell you what, Jonathan. I reckon about 100 movies-ish in, you're going to be able to do that.
Oh, is
I
that
think
all?
with the caliber of movies that are in the 250, I think give it a good 100 movies, and then you'll be able to do that.
I reckon there's got to be a lot of crossover with a bunch of these things.
Absolutely, just because the geniuses keep on reoccurring and creating similar masterpieces and things. So it's you're definitely going to see a lot of familiar names and familiar faces.
Yeah. I think the film also does. This is a first scene thing, so I think it's not a spoiler, but
That's okay.
it also dips back into it. The film does its opening in sepia. Which I thought was just really cool. It's kind of like it's the same sort of concept as Casino Royale's opening, where that's
color grading, yeah.
Casino Royale is like the opening is filmed with black and white film, kind of Hitchcockian like directing style, film style. And this ties back into that, where it's this sepia that's shot pretty flat, and it jumps back to it later in about the middle of the film, and then at another place, which I'm not going to mention because that would be rude. But yeah, there's just like a lot of really interesting stuff for a film that is first and foremost a comedy. There was some just really striking visuals in it. I just didn't expect it. I thought it was very cool.
Yeah. I think in a world of where you've got your Sergio Leones and your Clint Eastwoods, Sergio Leone did Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yep.
Fistful of Dollars, all those are all classic spaghetti westerns, and they are considered to be, kind of gritty, intense, lots of good action, and they are what most people consider to be the western. And I believe I spoke to you prior to recording this podcast. I believe this is one of the first westerns you've watched. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. I've watched a couple, but I can't recall their names. So
right.
I think I might have seen Good, Bad, and the Ugly. I remember watching one really complex one that it goes a really long time, and it has one of the.
So all of them.
One of the wars in the middle of it, like one of the American, I think the war with the Spanish or something like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I forget which one it is. That's the only one that comes to mind, but I don't recall the whole thing.
This is a nice intro to western, I think.
Okay. Cool. It's a nice soft.
It's a palatable western.
Easy intro, yeah.
Yeah, totally. There's a nice little spritz of comedy, as you said. There's the nice camaraderie between Paul Newman's character and Robert Redford's. It all ties up nice and neat.
I mean, we'll talk about it more after the spoilers, but they're fucking. Just they mix so well.
So well
and
on camera.
And the way that they kind of build their characters is delightful.
Yeah.
They feel really, really real. I super, super enjoyed that. I think I do have some problems with this film, but I think that is the core of the film, and I think that works really, really well. So
absolutely.
So would you recommend people watch this film, Douglas?
Absolutely. I feel like I've said this a lot about a lot of the movies at the back end of this 250 that this is a good intro film to a genre. And I'm going to say that... We
had that with Casino Royale as well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say that again for Butch Cassidy. This is my first time watching Butch Cassidy, mind you. We interrupt this episode of the 250 as we regret to inform you that Douglas has had a lapse of judgment when speaking about Butch Cassidy. The film he just spoke of, Bush Cat City, is actually a film set in rural Australia. Released in 1987, starring Paul Hogan and directed by Hans Bachmann, the film follows a group of lone outlaw cats as they all work together to find the long-lost city in the bush. One can then begin to understand how this plot structure would result in the confusion Douglas experienced when he intended to speak about the film Butch Cassidy. We apologize for Douglas's lack of a brain and now bid you return to your regularly scheduled podcast. Thank you. This is my first time watching Butch Cassidy, mind you. Having recorded this episode, I watched Butch Cassidy specifically for the 250, and I've never seen it prior. I think that, this film is a wonderful intro to Westerns. It sets out what a Western kind of does, the feel of a Western, the setting, the costume design, the locales, gives all of that in a very nice visual, palatable matter. And I think it's great. Good run.
Yeah, shit. Fuck. All right.
What?
That was very in-depth. I don't know. Are you just
Sorry.
Okay, you're recording this, and then when you go back and edit it, you're just going to transcribe what you said so you can put it in your Letterboxd review?
No. The whole point of my Letterboxd is that I'm putting in different words. I say different things. I type the different words.
I type it to different words. I liked it a lot as well. I found myself... It's weird. It was just... First and foremost, just really fucking fun. And I guess Guardians was very much like that as well.
Yeah.
But especially the first half of the film, it's just it's just fun. It's a real kind of rollicking adventure.
It's a romp.
So yeah,
I've been using that word a lot lately.
Romp.
Yeah.
I do have my issues with the film, but I would highly recommend it for people to watch. Yeah,
for sure.
I think it was a really good time.
I'll be very interested to hear what those issues are in the spoiler section.
In the spoiler time, if you listen past this point without watching the film, I've got nothing. I should stop. Can we just kill this bit? This is the point.
Do you want to kill it?
Watch the film.
Okay.
Before you listen to the spoilers. Okay.
Is this bit dead?
No. Shush, you gotta be quiet for the foghorn.
Oh, sorry. Foghorn, leghorn.
Yeah, that's a joke, son. Don't you get it?
Okay, good. Okay. Good job not making that weird, Douglas.
Well, you said foghorn, and then I just think of foghorn, leghorn. You know foghorn, leghorn.
No, you just needed to be quiet.
I was quiet, and I could add in silence anyway.
After you had to have the last word, didn't you?
Jeez. There's a thing called post-production, Jonathan. It's what this podcast thrives off of.
My number one issue with the film is its structure and its pacing.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think you have the first 30 minutes is a really classic, kid-friendly, very funny, very interesting piece of film.
Yep.
So that's your first heist, introducing the characters, kind of knitting everything together.
Yep.
You have the next half hour, so the second quarter of the film, is the escape after the second train robbery, which was good, but I think slightly overstays its welcome.
Which overstays its welcome?
The escape after, like, them running from the posse who were, like, hunting them down.
So that whole sequence.
Yeah, I don't think it overstays its welcome by heaps, but it's like half an hour and it could have been 25 minutes.
Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the next hour is head to Bolivia, they rob some banks, they go straight, and then the conclusion. And it kind of feels sort of episodic almost, where the first bit of the film can easily be, this is a big chunk of the film. Like, you could even have, here's an hour, this is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and they have their thing and they get away and they meet up with their friends and they run off into the sunset or whatever. Which obviously wouldn't be a great film because there's, it's only an hour.
Sure.
But then you have, they get to the first place in Bolivia and it's kind of drab and they're like, what do we do now? and then they rob their first bank, and that kind of is its own little episode of they're robbing banks, and they have their ups and downs in there. And then like, okay, we got to go straight. Let's do this payroll job, and that's its own little slice. And then them robbing the payroll mule in the forest or wherever it was. That felt like its own tiny little slice. And then nothing. It felt more disconnected there. I don't know. Can you chip in? I feel like I'm just talking to myself.
No, sorry.
That's all right.
I didn't want to interrupt your train of thought.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think back on the film and see where. Yeah, I can completely get the episodic nature of the film.
And I guess I did some reading, and they wanted to kind of lower the comedy as they kind of went to the conclusion, so it felt like the conclusion still had some weight.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I sort of get, but what that ends up doing is it just makes the film feel more desperate, and just it just becomes a bit of a bummer.
It does take a very hard left turn.
It goes downhill very quickly. It's like, what kind of funny stuff is there in the second half? There's the first robbery, which kind of goes a bit awry because they can't speak Spanish that well. There's the payroll situation where
I thought the payroll guy was fantastic.
He was amazing.
Mr. Garrett. Bingo.
Mr. Garrett.
And
he was great. And that really stuck out because everything had been so miserable
for like
15 minutes before that.
Well, you still get Butch and Sundance kind of doing their little jibber jabber, but it's not as...
and you do a bit, but you can tell from them they're just like, fuck.
They're getting worn down. They're getting worn down by this posse chasing after them all the goddamn time.
I just don't feel like it was necessary.
Okay.
Because to really tone it down that much. Because the ending is still pretty funny. Like, the ending itself, he's like, what's the line? He says, he's like, for a moment there, I thought we were in trouble. And they're like, all right, let's do this. And they run out.
Yeah.
You could have had comedy up to that point. You could have had comedy up till the 10 minutes where they're sitting there in the house and they're like, fuck. Like, I don't know. It takes a very hard left turn.
You do get this odd build-up of tension when the army starts rolling in and you get these long segments of them, well, long, quote-unquote, setting themselves up on the rooftops and everything, and, you get the impending sense of danger, but I think that's more... It's the old
I think
school...
that final scene was fine.
Yeah.
I think that... I didn't have a real problem with that, because that felt like this is the time we really ramp up the seriousness and... probably had the characters quipping a little bit more in amongst that. But yeah, that's totally fine to be like, this is a bad situation. Yes. And this is where it's getting really real because they've been found out and they need to try and escape. I think that was fine. It's just the stuff before it was just kind of sad. Sorry, what were you saying? I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. This just in. Any sad movies in the 250? Jonathan, no go.
I can't.
Casino Royale? Upset Bond? No go.
Yes.
I'm just seeing the common trend here, sorry.
And like, even like that ending, when you really think about it, like they kind of play it off, but that ending is like, they fucking get shot to death by the Bolivian army.
I was anticipating for them to come running out and them just immediately get peppered by rifles and have this glorious shot where they're being filled with lead. But I don't know. I liked the
freeze frame in the end. I thought that was really cool. I think that was a really nice way to end it. I wish they hadn't had the gunshots after that, but I thought it was fine.
I like to have the thought that maybe they did, at least scrape by and fight for a little bit rather than just immediately getting peppered.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of also depends on who you are as an audience member. Do you have that level of optimism and hope and faith in Butch and Sundance that they might actually be able to scramble their way out of things? Or are you pessimistic like Jonathan and they're just straight boned?
Well,
realistic like Jonathan, I should say.
They were clearly just trying to be in line with the historical account.
Yeah, outnumbered.
Where they got found, like that final scene is, exactly what fucking happened. I think there was, the mule was a real thing. I think there was only 3 or 4 people in the town. So there was the sheriff and maybe a deputy and some other guys. But then the army came in after that. And
right.
They did get shot by the army, I believe. Or no, I think they didn't actually run out. I think there were some gunshots and it was implied from what they found that they shot themselves.
Oh, shit. Really?
Yeah.
Do you want me to run a fact check on this?
You can, but I think it's right. But I thought that was fine. That whole last scene was fine. The film was just getting sadder and sadder from...
Yeah.
It was on a high at the New York trip, and then they go to Bolivia, and they start squabbling over, instead of squabbling over, oh, you're being an absolute idiot, you dumb bitch, and they're like, ha ha ha, you're such an... wow, what a goof. It's just he's just like, Butch, you fucked up, this place sucks, and it's just like, oh, this isn't fun anymore.
Yeah. Okay, well, now I'm just reading up on the actual, Butch Cassidy and Longabout. The authorities entered the house the next morning where they found 2 bodies with numerous bullet wounds to the arms and legs. The man assumed to be Longabout had a bullet wound in the forehead, and the man thought to be Cassidy had a bullet hole in the temple. The local police speculated that, judging from the positions of the bodies, Cassidy had probably shot the fatally wounded Longabout to put him out of his misery and then topped himself off.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I think if they'd done that, that would have been...
Oh, God, what a bummer of a fucking ending. Jesus.
That ending scene, fine.
Yeah.
Really don't have a problem with it. I thought it was pretty fun. I think it was a good bit of action, and they had to be kind of clever about how they got out of that. I thought it was pretty good. And I love the freeze frame at the end. I thought that was great.
Yeah, such a nice freeze frame too. So action. I love it.
And I believe this was... I mentioned it being a buddy cop film, but I believe this happened before the classic buddy cop films happened.
Like the buddy cop genre. Well, didn't the buddy cop genre kind of kick off in, I want to say, 1980s?
Let's see what we get.
Because, you got Lethal Weapon, which is Mel Gibson, Danny Glover.
But I think that was...
That's 1987. I know that for sure.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon's 87. Popularized by 48 Hours, starring Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte.
When was that?
82.
Okay, so yeah. This is before...
Kurosawa's film Stray Dog was considered a precursor to the buddy cop film genre. Interesting.
Oh, okay.
But it's not... It's considered a precursor,
Yeah, gotcha.
So yeah, something like early 80s.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
Something like that. I guess, buddy cop, shows, maybe? There's a show that... Starsky and Hutch. Starsky and Hutch is mid-70s.
Okay.
So this kind of came before that, which is interesting. But that freeze frame is, classic buddy cop film ending.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm really getting tied up on literally a single frame of this film. And it snaps to sepia as well.
Yes. The color grading
it's like it's
comes back in again.
reconverging with what the film was like at the start. I just loved that. I thought that was really, really cool. That all the use of the sepia. I loved the New York what's it called? Montage
sequence, yeah.
Where they've edited the actors into historical photos, and they've done a really fucking good job of it as well.
Yeah, that reminded me a lot of Terry Jones. You know how Terry Jones always used to do a lot of that animation? Not Terry Jones, Terry Gilliam.
Who's Terry Gilliam?
Monty Python.
Oh, right.
Was it Terry Gilliam? He did he does, I think it's Terry Gilliam who does all of that animating stuff for Monty Python's Flying Circus. So, he does the foot stomp and all of that kind of stuff. It reminded me of that, just with how it's got all of these awesome little cutouts and stuff of their faces neatly woven into.
But it was really well done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there are a couple of shots where I was like, no, I actually have to actively look for them because they've been edited in so well. I want to say photoshopped. This is 69.
Absolutely,
like,
yeah.
I don't even know how they did that. That's nuts. I thought that was really cool, and I thought it's kind of like a neat way to ground the film back in like the historical
roots. Yeah.
Roots. Especially because the very first scene of the film is old footage of some train robbers. I assume from an old
on
film.
the cinema screen. Yeah.
But yeah, in that same sepia. I loved that as an effect. I thought that was
the
really,
intro
really
was
clever.
fantastic. I really liked how they did the intro.
As a person, you've seen westerns before.
Sure have.
That first scene where they're introducing Butch and Sundance, is that
classic Western shtick?
Just the way it's shot?
Absolutely.
Is that similar?
All the close-ups, lots of focus on eyes. That's a big Western thing, especially in intros. And the mystery, the lack of sound, really, just the focus on ambient noise, starting in the dusty town and a cowboy kind of stumbling and walking his way around. It's all, it's traditional Western fanfare.
That does such a that intro does such a good job of characterizing the characters as well.
Sundance and Butch,
and it kind of, the film takes its time to, because they then ride back to the hole in the wall.
Yeah,
it really takes its time to, have them have this little conversation where you can kind of pick up everything about their characters. You've just seen Sundance shoot this dude's gun off his
belt,
hip and then shoots it progressive shots
across
so it like
floor.
flies into the corner. I love how when I forget what he says, but as soon as Butch is like, oh shit, he's about to like draw, he just like dashes to the wall and like pushes up against the wall so he doesn't get hit.
Yeah.
But they're these characters that clearly know each other really, really well. I really, really like that.
They're pre-established relationships, yeah.
Yeah. I think we're kind of riding on the whole buddy cop thing once again.
Yeah.
But they seemed really convincing. I really got them. And their relationship with Etta?
Yes, Etta Place is the name
Etta.
of the girl.
What was this? I was going through the Letterboxd reviews, and I took a screenshot of one of them.
Yeah.
What was it? I said this to you yesterday, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Etta, this is my boyfriend, the Sundance Kid, and this is Sundance's boyfriend, Butch Cassidy. Sundance is gay, but he's straight for me, but is gay for Butch, and Butch is really gay for Sundance, and I love Butch. It's not that complicated. That relationship was weird, but it was...
Yeah, touching on that, I think I liked how they did dodge the love triangle.
Yeah.
They had... I like how everything was just kind of out on the table, that there's, she's with Sundance, but there is obviously a little bit of feels for Butch as well.
Yeah.
But it felt like everything was out on the table and they didn't needlessly harp on about, oh, Butch loves Etta, but she's already bequeathed to Sundance. They didn't harp on all that bullshit, and I really liked that.
I did appreciate that. Yeah.
All of the stuff that happens around Etta is great too. Like when they come back and Butch has got Etta on the bicycle, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm stealing your girlfriend." And he kind of scratches his back for a few seconds, and he goes, take her.
Yeah, you can have her.
Because I was so ready for Sundance to be like, that's my girlfriend, goddammit, and pull a gun on him or something, and then he just goes, take her. I was like, oh. And then the wholesome little bit with Sundance and Etta where they've come back from, after chasing away from the posse, and they've jumped into the ravine and everything.
Oh, yep.
And Sundance goes, don't make a big thing about it. Okay, make a big thing about it, and he hugs her. I thought that was super
so
cute.
Sweet.
Super
that was so
cute.
Nice. I still don't know how I feel about basically the scene where she's introduced, where he's sitting in her house and pointing a gun at her.
Yeah, I was like, oh god, oh no.
I know this is a bit, but it feels really gross.
Warning.
But I am wondering if that's a this film's 50 years old. It might have just been
True, yeah.
Less uncomfortable back then, I'm not sure.
I guess it's totally a thing that would have happened in the West. They would have... there would have been men who fucking just creepily sit around in women's houses and just wait and then force them to do the deed.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't feel like he was joking around. It felt very insidious.
But then, yeah, again, maybe it was just a bit. And they both knew that it was a bit, even though she looks, reasonably petrified. It's all a bit. And I don't know, maybe they have some role play thing going on. I'm not going.
Well, in that case,
I'm not going to touch
I
that.
don't want to kink shame.
Yeah, I think
go your hardest.
Exactly. I think Sundance is a bit of a, he's a complicated guy. There's some stuff going on there that's a little bit unresolved.
I love this character. Yeah,
I wrote down that Sundance Kid is awesome. He's physically unimposing but mentally intriguing. I liked that. But then there was this one close up that they got of Robert Redford, and just his eyes and his hair and the moustache, and I then wrote down, I take it back, Sundance is one hot bastard. Oh my god, man. Woo, I was swooning pretty hard when they had that nice little close up on Sundance. It got me.
He's a little hottie. I can get behind that.
And I can only imagine when this came out, I bet all girls would just been all over Paul Newman and Robert Redford for these roles. Just their smooth talking, gunslinging fellas. I feel like they would have built such a reputation for these characters.
He would have been in a pretty comfy spot. Let's say that.
Yeah. So
pretty pleased with himself.
I take it back. Sundance is dreamy AF.
This is a completely separate thing,
Go for
but I found this really hit me in the final scene with the army. Mm-hmm. It really popped out to me how, I don't have a better term for it. It just feels legit. Like there's like 100 extras, all in these like pristine uniforms, all like, getting information and stuff. And you look back at it, I guess there's less scope for that kind of thing, but all the sets are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
They're just so good that you don't think about it.
Props, costume design, set design, yeah, it's all. I wrote down specifically that I thought the costume design was fantastic for all of the characters. I thought Butch and Sundance, when they come to Bolivia and they're all kitted up in those, gentleman outfits with the bowler hats and the suits and everything. Yeah. God, they were looking suave as hell in those outfits. God damn. I completely agree. In terms of production quality, this movie hits a nail on the head.
Okay, music boy.
Oh,
give me some music insight.
Well, raindrops. Raindrops keep falling on my head was, as I said previously in this podcast, was written specifically for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And it was written by Burt Bacharach. Now, Burt Bacharach, if you have a little hop, skip, and a jump over to his IMDb page right now, listeners, you will find that Burt Bacharach has 644 credits for soundtrack.
Wow, okay.
Now, keep in mind, these are things like he wrote a specific song that was then included in a TV show.
Right, okay.
So they acquired the rights to play this song in their film or TV show or whatever it is.
Okay, I see.
Of a particular song that Burt Bacharach wrote. But he is considered to be probably one of the most influential composers for 20th century pop music in terms of weird chord progressions, jazz harmonies, odd little selection of instruments that he picks for his orchestras. He co-wrote many things, many hits that went on to top in the Billboard Hot 100. Some highlights being This Guy's in Love with You, They Long to Be Close to You, Arthur's Theme, Best That You Can Do, and That's What Friends Are For. All of those, I think Arthur's Theme won an Oscar for Best Original Song. And I think, who is it? It's Fits and the Tantrums recorded a cover for it. They did a remake of Arthur's theme, which is from, I believe, the movie Arthur. And they, did a cover of it for the 2011 remake. But anyway, that's a big little side tangent I just took.
That's all right.
He's a really, really cool guy, and he did a lot of work in the specifically 70s, 80s. He did a lot of his finest work.
Yeah, I'm just kind of skimming right now. Gosh, like maybe every fifth credit is for someone using raindrops keep falling on my head in some TV show.
Absolutely, yep. As
well as, what are the other ones? What's New Pussycat?
Yeah.
What's
New Pussycat?
That's What Friends Are For. What the World Needs Now Is Love is a big one.
Yep.
That's interesting. But still, fuck, that means he's so pervasive, I guess. He's just in everything.
Yep. He's that prolific. Wow. He did all of the soundtracks for the Austin Powers films.
I did just see that, yes.
Which I love. So good. And he also did...
Which is good. He also did some James Bond stuff, so for him to like...
Yeah, he did the 1967...
Austin Powers.
The 1967 Casino Royale. So the...
That's so good.
Not the Daniel Craig Casino Royale, but the one before that, which is... it's got Peter Sellers as Bond, and I believe it's more comedy-focused, 1967 Casino Royale.
Oh.
I mean, it would be, you think, with it's got Peter Sellers as Bond. You know who Peter Sellers is, right?
I don't. Oh, wait.
Chief Inspector Clouseau.
1967. In an early spy spoof, aging Sir James Bond comes out of retirement to take on Smirsh.
Smirsh.
I think this needs to be in the snobs.
Uh-oh.
This sounds fucking ridiculous.
No, hang on. We need to watch it first and then see whether it should be in the 250.
All right. Okay. Guess the rating. Guess the IMDb rating.
I'm going to give it like maybe a 4.
5.2.
Oh, okay. Not as bad.
Still.
Yeah, it's still, I mean, it's...
Still pretty rough.
Just above average.
No, that's not actually how IMDb ratings work.
Yeah, all right. Okay, look. But yeah, anyway, Burt Bacharach. Cool
Sorry,
guy.
distracted.
No, you're all right. Yeah, awesome guy.
The film was pretty light on music.
Yes.
It mostly uses it in montages.
And there's a couple of little instrumental beats, I think, in the cross-country chase. There's a lot of good music amongst all of that.
But really not heaps.
No. There's a lot of silence, which is nice. And that's very Western, again.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. It didn't really feel like it was missing it as well.
Yeah.
And the spots where it was used were really fun. I really, really like... There was... I think it's their escape sequence when they've got the montage of the Bolivian banks.
Yes.
There's a montage of... Yeah, so throughout these, there's a cappella music going, which was hilarious. Like...
Oh, yes,
like really simple a cappella stuff, which really, I really enjoyed
when they're robbing that guy's bank, and from what I assumed,
they're like running around the corner and the cops go past. And...
From what I assumed about that bit with it's Sundance and Edda, at the teller, and you can't hear their voices because there's just the a cappella music. But what I was assuming happened in that bit is that Edda had a gem, and she was reluctant to give it to the bank because she was worried about its safety. And then the bank manager comes over and goes, "Oh, don't worry, our banks are nice and safe and secure. You want to see? Come on, we'll go down and take a look." I think that was what happened.
That scene was very good.
So good.
That was a nice bit of comedy in an otherwise bleak section of the film.
The bit where the bank manager turns around and he sees that Sundance has got the gun on him. Just his face, just so disappointed and upset with himself. It's so
just good. And he gives him the keys.
Yeah.
Oh, I think the music was used really, really well. Where it was really sparse.
Yes, yeah. Like bits with the gang in the early stages. I don't think there's any music amongst all of that, like the Hole in the Wall gang. Actually, touching on Hole in the Wall gang, I loved all of the naming styles for the news being called news. I was like, why is it called news? And then he pulls out his little, newspaper clippings, and I was like, oh,
I loved him. He was so good.
Cutie.
what's the show? He goes, "Oh, you can shut up now." And he's like, "Not yet till I've got to the good part."
Yeah. And you've got Sweet Face covering for him.
And what's the dude's name? There's like a dude whose name is just like Flat Nose
Flat
or something.
Nose, yeah. And he legitimately, they give this nice side profile of him where you can see he just literally has like a flat nose.
Flat nose curry.
This is probably going to be a bit of a thing that probably not a lot of our listeners are going to get, but I enjoyed seeing the influence here from Red Dead Redemption. So Red Dead Redemption 2, I think specifically, took some influence from Butch Cassidy in its story and the idea of a gang, you know, all kind of coming together, but there's, you know, constantly a bit of power struggle within the gang, you know, who's really the leader, and things all not kind of going to plan all the time. The heist aspects, of course. I think, there was definitely Red Dead took a bit of a couple of notes from Butch Cassidy, from what I could see from this.
Cheeky bastards. I'll bet this film has influenced so much shit. Surely.
You'd be surprised.
Okay.
Not a lot. I mean, that's obviously
it's potentially not stuff that people talk about.
Sure, yeah.
But
that's just the first thing that popped into my head was Red Dead Redemption, because, you know, obviously it's the most parallel connection you can make. They're both...
You've played a bunch of that game, you fucking
Westerns. Hey, it's a good game. It's
fine.
One of the best games of 2019. Everyone go play Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a good time. If you like Westerns. Cowboys. Cowboys.
Cowboys. Hey, Douglas.
Hey, Jonathan.
Do you have any trivia for me?
Oh, heck, I got some trivia for you, Jonathan. You want me to read you some trivia?
Fuck yeah!
You want me to read
Yes, please,
facts
Douglas.
about things that I kind of know things about? Okay. The real Butch Cassidy, whose name was actually Robert Leroy Parker, which they say in the film, got his nickname because he once worked in a butcher's shop. Butch Cassidy.
Wow. Okay, yeah, that's a lot simpler than I was
you were expecting. Yeah. And
Yeah.
the Sundance Kid, real name Harry Alonzo Longabout, got his nickname because he once was arrested in the Wyoming town of Sundance.
Huh.
Sundance Kid.
That's... Yeah, okay, I guess so. Okay, I guess that makes sense.
It all checks out, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I was really expecting something more in-depth than that, but I guess they just...
It
didn't...
does the job and gets out loud. Well, I guess, you know, they didn't want to think too hard about what their monikers should be.
Yeah.
You kind of don't want to spend too much time thinking about that, and it's got to be catchy.
They didn't have...
Yeah. I feel like there would have been a lot of pressure back in the day to come up with a good outlaw name. I mean, shit, imagine just...
What's this fucking nerdy's real name? What
sitting there with like a cigarette over candlelight, and he's staring down at a piece of paper and he's scribbled
Kick
names
that dude
out.
out of the fucking gang.
God damn it! Timmy McGee ain't working. Flips the table. On the first day of shooting, involving the train robbery scenes, Catherine Ross, who plays Etta Place, came to the set to watch. There were 5 cameras, only 4 operators. So cinematographer Conrad Hall put her on the extra camera. He showed her how to operate it, how to move it to get her shot. Director George Roy Hill was furious, but said nothing the whole day. At the end of the day, however, he banned her from the set except for when she was working.
Wow. What a whingy bastard.
So, from what I've been reading more and more about the trivia and things, George Roy Hill is a very talented director, but apparently he's a bit of a prick to get along with. Which I think is, you know, that's got to be a thing that
happens here and there with Hollywood.
Or just very creative, or not, I guess, intellectual, even that, just quote-unquote geniuses of the time. They have a bit of personality baggage to go with it.
Right. Right.
But carrying on from that, Catherine Ross enjoyed shooting the silent bicycle riding sequence best because it was handled by the film crew's second unit rather than the director. she said, quote, "Any day away from George Roy Hill was a good one," end quote.
Jesus.
And that was obviously after she'd been scolded and banned from the set for operating the camera.
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously a little bit of bad
Well, that's a
blood
bummer,
there.
I guess.
According to William Goldman, his screenplay originally was titled The Sundance Kid and Butch Cassidy. As I said prior in the episode, Steve McQueen and Paul Newman read the script at approximately the same time and agreed to do it, with McQueen playing the Sundance Kid. When McQueen dropped out, the names reversed in the title as Newman was a superstar.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, and now that it is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, I can't think of it as the Sundance Kid and Butch Cassidy.
Yeah.
For me, that doesn't sound right.
I think name and nickname, or like name that sounds like a name and then name that is clearly not a name,
Works
in
better.
that order seems better.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, it seems more, I don't know, natural, odd, human condition. So, in order to get the shot of the super posse jumping out of the train on their horses, the door on the opposite side of the train car was left open, and they had a ramp placed out of view on that side of the train. So the horses would run up the ramp and then leap out on the side where they had the camera, and the camera is like, you know, there's that shot where it's positioned kind of low.
Oh, they're like, because
the
they're...
horses jump over it. Yeah.
Huh.
Because obviously in real life, the horses would not have had room in the train car to make that much of a leap.
On no momentum, yeah.
Yeah, they need the run up to be able to actually leap that far. So, I don't know, I thought that was kind of cool.
They did a good job of hiding it. I
Absolutely.
didn't notice.
Well, it's only a very short
It is, yeah.
shot, and then it just cuts to them just riding. So, I thought that was really clever.
Yeah. I did like how they did that whole that train. They do all these shots of like the train, like the pistons pumping, and like close up shots of like the black metal and stuff. Like very obviously going like, this is an imposing figure. I just thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and them all looking to the smoke in the distance when the train's coming up. Oh, yeah, I love that shit. Anyway. With 9 wins, it currently holds the record for the British Academy Awards. So it's had a total of 9 wins. It won for Picture, Actor for Robert Redford, Actress for Catherine Ross, Direction for George Roy Hill, Screenplay, Cinematography, Film Editing, Sound, and Score.
Fucking hell.
So it won every award it possibly could have, as its 10th nomination was a dual nomination for Best Actor.
Wow.
So between Paul Newman and Robert Redford.
Oh, okay. Far out, alright.
Robert Redford got it.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough as well. Like, Paul Newman had already had his, like, time in the...
His stint, yeah, he's already up there. He doesn't need any more fame and glory.
Yeah.
All of the Bolivia scenes were filmed on location in Mexico.
Wow.
Where almost the entire cast and crew and director George Roy Hill came down with Montezuma's Revenge, which is severe diarrhea caused by drinking Mexico's notoriously polluted waters. Only Robert Redford, Paul Newman, and Catherine Ross were spared because they refused to drink the water catered on the set and stuck to drinking soda and alcohol for the duration of the shoot.
Well, probably good, because for all the people you don't want to be, you know, having violent diarrhea in the middle of a film, it's probably the lead actors.
The actors, yeah. I feel like you'd have to put a fair few things on hold if you couldn't get through a scene because Robert Redford had to shit himself before he could get through it. Paul Newman and Robert Redford allegedly had as much camaraderie off screen as they did on.
That's nice.
Paul Newman said that this was the most fun he'd ever had making a film, and he and Robert Redford drank a lot of beer in Mexico.
I'll bet. Well, they weren't drinking the water, were they?
Yeah, exactly. They were drinking the alcohol. They were keeping it real. Do you know Hello Dolly?
Wait, what about Hello Dolly?
1969, so same year.
You know what Hello Dolly is?
What's that?
It's a Vietnamese restaurant we used to go to. We'd been there before. That's where I was thinking about it. Sorry. No, I don't know about the film Hello Dolly.
It's also a musical,
it's a musical.
movie.
Oh, okay.
Directed by Gene Kelly, starring Barbara Streisand, Walter Matthau. What?
Sorry, no, I'm just thinking about Hello Dolly. Sorry.
So this movie, Butch Cassidy, was filmed roughly the same time as Hello Dolly on the soundstage next door. Director George Roy Hill believed that the studio would allow him to film the New York City scenes on Dolly's sets, since the two films' daily shooting schedules were totally different.
Yeah.
After production started, though, the studio informed him that it wanted to keep the sets for Dolly a secret, and so refused him permission. To work around this, Hill and Robert Redford, Paul Newman, and Catherine Ross simply posed on the sets and took photos of them. He then inserted images of the three stars into a series of 300 actual period photos and spliced the two different sets, real and posed, together to form the New York City montage.
That's so good. And honestly, that shot gave me so much joy. That scene, that chapter. Yeah. I honestly wouldn't have it any other way. It was great.
Yeah.
It's got such a cool vibe to it.
Totally, yeah. And just, the way that it's all presented is, so good. And the fact that now that I know that they involved a little bit of Hello Dolly, that makes me super happy because I love Hello Dolly.
Is that on the list?
No, it's not. It didn't get very good reviews.
Okay.
The Paul Newman often kidded Robert Redford about his tardiness, once suggesting they should rename the movie Waiting for Lefty, because Redford is left-handed.
Right.
And Waiting for Lefty is actually a 1935 play by Clifford Odets about a group waiting on the arrival of a man called Lefty who ultimately never shows up. So it's a take on Waiting for Godot.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say that sounds familiar.
Yeah. Which is similar plot. Waiting for someone who ultimately never shows up, and it's absurdist comedy, basically. But I just like the idea of Paul Newman going, Lefty, obviously in an Australian accent, because Paul Newman is totally Australian. But yeah, that's all I had. I'm loving finding all these trivia bits about the movies we're watching.
Fun. I do really enjoy it.
It adds a real another layer to the film, I think, and it gives a bit of a nice sense of an understanding of the behind the scenes of what happens, which I really like. And just some of those tidbits where you go, oh, I wonder how they did that, or oh, I wonder what happened in this bit. You get it. You get to listen. You get to know, because we give you the inside scoop here on the 250.
The only place you can get this information.
250.
I really like the trivia because it means that we are relying on hard facts instead of the insane ramblings of just two fucking complete imbeciles who don't know what they're talking about.
Well, Jonathan, you know where you can find us, two babbling idiots more? You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at 250pod.
I got the YouTube set up, bitch. It looks good.
Yeah,
I'm like really legitimately good. Really proud of. I fucking destroyed my computer running After Effects on the backlog of episodes. I straight up had my computer rendering for 24 hours. It was bad.
Wow. Wow. Well, if you want to scratch Jonathan's itch and, make it so that all of that rendering and pain for his computer was actually worth something, go and check us out on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, specifically YouTube, though, at 250pod, which is TwoFiveOhpod.
That's the one where... Wait, did you mention Instagram? I feel like you didn't.
I did. I said YouTube, Twitter, Instagram.
Okay, I wasn't listening. Instagram.
God.
Instagram's the nice primary place to check them all out, I reckon.
Definitely.
But they're all...
If you're gonna check us out on any of those, Instagram is probably
the real benefit to the Instagram is that you can then get to everything else from there. So but
and that'll keep you updated on what's coming out next and all that jazz.
We have little tidbits, little teasers.
Yep, absolutely. And if you'd like to get in contact with us, you can email us at the
250pod@gmail.com.
That's it.
We also, if you want to check the list, because it has changed, the list that we are running off of from the start of the year, it is bit.ly/250pod, bit.ly/. That is... We should put the snubs on there.
Do you reckon? I kind of like leaving it a surprise.
Actually, Yeah, I think you might be onto something, actually. I
kind of like having the anticipation of like, oh, what are they going to put on
what
next?
What are they going to do next?
Because, our listeners are totally thinking that.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, man. Gotta be optimistic.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find us, the podcast, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Pocket Casts, Google Home, and Amazon Echo. Weekly check-in. How's Podcast Bean coming along, Jonathan? Podbean.
I've given up.
You've given up?
Yeah, I've officially given up. Fuck that site. There's no easy way to do it.
Wow.
So bit of inside baseball, folks. Podcasts run on the same technology that blogs do, which is basically you just send a request to a website and the website goes, okay, here's number 1, here's number 2, here's number 3. And within those elements can be whatever you want. It can be a blog post, it can be a video, or it can be a big chunk of audio. It's a very simple piece of technology. And that's why it's very easy to put it on different services, because you just say, go to this URL, and it says, okay. Except Podbean. Those guys can go fuck themselves. You have to register a whole new account and like re-upload all your shit. Fuck it. I'm done. Fuck those guys.
Cut to like episode like, I don't know, 103.
Hey guys, have you heard about this great new podcast listening app? It's called Podbean, and they're giving us extensive amounts of money to advertise.
We'd like to thank our sponsors, Podbean. Oh my god.
This is a concept I like to call anti-advertising. It's where you say you want to get sponsored by Nike. What you do is you advertise Adidas, and you and you say that Nike is full of pedophiles.
Oh my god, that's like betting on the opposite end of the stock market.
Yeah, and it's like, if you want us to stop calling you horrid things, give us some money.
Oh my god.
We're holding our advertisement ransom. Podbean, make it fucking easier for me, and I'm all yours, baby.
Wow. You're working something out there, Jonathan.
Fuck's sake.
I'm glad you're getting it out though. Don't let it build up.
Thanks, man. Thanks. This is like free therapy, this podcast.
Well, if you'd like to read some reviews that are a little bit nicer, you can head over to our Letterboxd review. How are these segues coming? I'm killing it.
Oh, you're absolutely murdering it, bro.
Our Letterboxd is a website for hosting film reviews and allowing you to basically keep a little diary of the movies that you're watching, list what movies you have watched, and it's just I found it a really good site for, just keeping track of everything that we're doing on the 250 and putting things in a bit more of a nicer, cleaner, more well thought out written review. And you can find my reviews at IENZOKNIGHT. That's Ienzo Knight with a K, all lowercase. And if you just search up that username on Letterboxd, you'll track me down.
And mine is Oopa. That is UUUPAH. On Letterboxd, I have cute little reviews. I'm doing haikus. It's still very new and fun to me, and I enjoy it. It's great.
I say this every time, but I just cannot get over your Casino Royale.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is going to be the last week I mention it, I promise. But every time I read it, I chuckle. It's so good. So if you want to go find out what it is, head over to our Letterboxd pages.
I was very disappointed by the ending of Casino Royale. Not because it was badly shot or written, but because
just
you have
what
to
happens.
find out.
Don't spoil it.
Why? Because of a secret.
There it is.
A secret.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, so I think after all my bitching, I would still highly recommend this film. It was a lot of fun. That's the thing. It was just fun. It's just exciting and goofy, and sometimes I don't want to stretch my brain about why this film is good. I just want to sit there with a grin on my face, and then this film did that, and it was funny. And
Absolutely.
It was a good time. So basically, summary: don't listen to any of the bullshit that I've said, and I think that's just a good rule to live by.
Oh my god, are you literally gonna tell our listeners? So you remember that 1 hour?
No. Okay,
disregard it all.
No one is under the impression that this is good, well thought out film critique, right? Okay, this is
of course not. That's not what they're coming here for.
We're one step above basement dwellers, buddy. Like,
Yeah. I mean, and if you are coming here for that, I mean,
I'm a bad trip away from like that rambling dude on the sidewalk saying the fucking end is nigh. Like, I'm not far off. It's pure nonsense.
oh my god, yeah, just unadulterated asinine bullshit.
Exactly.
That's what we are here at the 250. I just want to quickly touch on just the, again, support that we're receiving for the podcast. I think it's great. Again, we're getting lots of listeners from France, and I'm seeing people pop in from Sweden, Brazil. Just the idea that we are actually having a worldwide reach here is kind of...
It's kind of sick.
We're kind of still wrapping our brain around it. So
it's kind of sick.
Honestly, thank you very, very much for even just seeing those 1 listens a day. That makes it enough for me. The fact that there is someone out there besides us who is listening to us both talk about movies is kind of, yeah, it's insane. And I just, thank you for all of your support. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. That's great.
I feel like I did this before, but that's the last time I'm going to say it. I promise. You guys are great. Cool.
I can't wait to quote this in the next episode.
In the next one, yeah. Cut to me.
Cut to.
Well, thank you for listening to the 250, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon.
Bye-bye.
Have a lovely day.
Have a terrible day. Fuck you.
What? What are you doing? You can't say that.
Fuck you.
No!